I dislike drama. Seriously, I don't like to have any drama in my channel or about my content. But I need to clarify some things about myself and the content of the channel so far before moving forward in the series. I hope that my talk in this video would make things clear for many people out there. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Before I start talking about the topic of this video, I need to mention something. I'm not new to the modding community around Minecraft. I'm a member of this community for over 15 years. However, I didn't talk a lot, and most of the time I was a silent observer around the community, sitting back in the corner, listening to everyone, watching people talk and watching the progress of Minecraft and other mod loaders. And after 15 years, finally I thought to myself that it would be good if I can make video tutorials and talk about how you can develop your mod using a mod loader. However, last two episodes, I put a link inside Fabric Showcase forum page in Discord, and I got a very harsh and negative feedback. And honestly, I'm okay. I'm always ears listening to negative feedback when it's creative and when it's helpful. However, I thought to myself that, you know what? Some of these are intentional and some of them are really not intentional. And that was not what I meant. So before we start talking about them, I want you to know that I'm not someone who just learned about Fabric 6 months ago and he thinks that he is a big guy out there and he wants to do something. I'm an old member of this community and I know what I'm talking about. However, sometimes I can't use proper words because English is not my native language, and we will talk about this in this video farther down the road. However, the very first thing that I need to do clarification on it. The AI generated thumbnails. I had seen one or two people showing very harsh, bad reactions. Why did you use an AI generated thumbnail? I hate it. Be creative. Use some screenshots from Minecraft and it's not hard. You can do it. Well, yes, I can do it. I can find a nice building out there and paste it using Lightmatica into the game and stand in front of it and make a screenshot. That's not hard. However, first of all, I'm supporting AI generated thumbnails. Why? As a programmer, I like the concept. 5 years ago, if you would tell anyone that you would write some text and computers would create images for you based on the content of that text, they would laugh at you. It is impossible, they would say. However, these days, we are watching the AI generated content rushing forward with such a speed that is amazing, honestly. As a programmer, I really like the process. So yes, I'm using AI generated thumbnails. First of all, I'm supporting them by using their thumbnails. And second, my thumbnails are not one of those thumbnails that are mimicking the reality, because if you know, YouTube recently added an option for that, and you should inform the YouTube if I'm bending the reality using AI generated thumbnails or content. Mine are cartoonish, so everyone knows that these are just generated by PC. And may I ask you something? What is the difference between animations generated by something like Maya or 3D Max or Houdini compared to AI generated image? In both cases, lots of things are being processed by GPU or CPU, math calculations, and other stuff behind the scene to generate an image. I would ask this person who gave me this harsh reaction about AI generated thumbnail, did you ever watched 3D animation? If yes, then you don't have any rights to give me a harsh reaction about AI generated images, because in the back end, those 3D animations are a bunch of rendered 2D images that are in sequential running, and showing you a 3D animation, and all those 2D sequential images are rendered using a software that is behaving like an AI, doing ray traces for light calculations, doing Z-buffer calculations to show things in front of each other, simulating liquids, simulating fires, simulating lots of things. And actually, if you ever used a 3D animation package like 3D Max or Maya, you would know that the operator is not really doing lots of things. And most of the things are happened because the computer is doing the calculations. So they are another sort of AI generated content. That's something that I wanted to make a clarification on it. I'm supporting this process. And if you don't like the thumbnails, well, they are just there to show you that a new video came out. Close your eyes if you want to watch the video, move forward. Now, let's talk about the topic, the main topic of this video. First of all, when I use bad practice talk in the previous two videos, when it comes to programming in general, the cases that we would put our fingers on them and call them bad practices are really, really special and rare. For example, if you store a password of a user unobfuscated, unencrypted in a database, well, that's a real bad practice right there because it's vulnerable to hack attacks. Or, I don't know, if it's a game, it can be used by a hacker to cheat or, I don't know, do some harm to the users. I'm a medical doctor. If in one way or another I record the history of my patient on a digital application, Word document, or any software on my hard drive that is storing this historical data of a patient, if I don't obfuscate it or encrypt it actually and store the raw history on my hard drive, it's not programming, is it? No, but it's a bad practice because my computer is vulnerable to hack attacks, and at any time, if the medical history of one of my patients leak out, I will be face to face with legal issues. Yes, it's a bad practice. Now, if I want to write a medical program, not encrypting these sort of data is real bad practice, for sure. But honestly, when it comes to these bad practice situations in programming in general and Minecraft programming as a special topic, there are really rare cases that you can put your finger on it and say, hey, it is a real bad practice. Yes, we can argue that in those two previous videos, I was using commands, and as I talked in the last video, we were giving overhead data and they are vulnerable to changes. Honestly, that is not a good practice in general. But when I'm talking in these videos, what I want to clarify today is that I'm thinking about four different categories of people who watch these sort of videos online. The very first category are the people who are in general new to programming. The second type are those who know another language like Python or C Sharp, but they are new to Minecraft or Java or Fabric. The third category are the new generation of people who are actually toddlers in programming in general. And the fourth category are professional programmers, maybe old mod developers that forgot something and they want to refresh their memory, or they are professional programmers that are new to mod developing for Minecraft. When we think about these four people, the last category sooner or later can do their own thing without any help. For example, a professional programmer who knows C Sharp or Java can easily sit back and move through that external library in the project, and eventually he will find where a command is being executed within vanilla Minecraft. He would sit back, read the code, and he will find what he needs to do. So normally, the last group of people don't watch video tutorials on YouTube. If they forgot something, they may open the Java docs or, I don't know, maybe wiki page for the Fabric itself, find their way around it one way or another without the need for help from another person. They will get moving forward. But the first three group of people are the main topic of video tutorials out there. Now think about it. If you are not a professional programmer, if you are new to learning programming, the main struggle here is really bad practices out there in the world of programming as general against the professional advanced topics that are problematic for new toddler programmers who don't know how to deal with advanced topics. Okay, when I was talking about bad practices, in some cases, I was aiming for the second choice. There are some things out there that are advanced, and advanced programmers are really using them, and it's professional. We will talk about one of them today, but they can be huge problems for those who are new to programming or new to mod developing. To make things more clear, if you go into Fabric Discord channels and sit inside Mixin channel and read the questions and answers, almost every day you will find someone that comes and shows a piece of code that he wrote for Mixin, and one of the professional ones, like the developer of Mixin Extras, would come and say, hey, this is really terrible because it can harm this way or that way. Now, Mixin is a professional advanced topic, but for a new programmer or someone who is new to mod development, or maybe he had developed few mods but he's new to Mixin, it can become a really big problematic topic. This is my own opinion. When I say that it's a bad practice to do something, I'm talking about those new toddler programmers. For a toddler programmer or a new programmer or someone new to modding Minecraft, with the knowledge that I gave you so far, it would be a bad practice to rush forward and try to do things that are more advanced compared to your knowledge. That was my thought process. That was my personal opinion. But as I said, English is not my strong suit. So sometimes I may talk in a confusing manner and people get me wrong. And this video is all about that topic. When I was saying that, hey, this is bad practice, don't do it, sometimes I'm aiming for those who are new, because if they try something advanced, and I had experienced it myself, when there is something advanced and you don't know how to do it and you are struggling and you are pushing forward to do it, things will get out of hand and out of control really fast. Sometimes you lose interest in the whole thing. For example, modding Minecraft as a whole, or in the world of game development. I really don't suggest for a new guy to sit back and learn Unreal Engine from scratch. If you don't have any programming backend, any programming history, if you don't know any programming language, C++ can be a real challenge for you. And on top of C++, now Unreal Engine will have a very steep learning curve. And you may lose interest in the whole topic of game development, and you may lose a big chance out there for your future. So in my opinion, starting from scratch with Unreal Engine is a bad practice. And I'm not talking about real bad practice. I'm meaning that it's a practice that can harm you or your future or eliminate any chances at some point. So it's bad. In my opinion, starting with something easier to understand like Unity 3D and C Sharp is a better stepping stone. And even before that, starting with Java and something like modding for Minecraft, or C Sharp and something like modding for KSP, although modding for KSP is much more complex compared to modding Minecraft. But both of them are even better than starting with Unity 3D, because you are starting with chunk of an API and you are starting to learn a language first and then how to handle an API. After that, yes, you can go toward a 3D engine like Unity 3D. And after you got familiar with Unity 3D and you had became familiar with game engines in general, after 2 or 3 years, yes, now is time to move forward on a more professional suit out there. And again, this is my personal opinion, but I think Unreal Engine is much more professional compared to something like Unity 3D. And then we can learn Unreal Engine and move forward. So when I'm talking about bad practices in the previous videos, unfortunately, sometimes it's misleading. What I was thinking is that for a new programmer or for someone that is new to Minecraft modding or using Fabric, this can become confusing and out of hand really fast. Or at some point, I didn't give you the knowledge yet. So if you want to head dive into the pool, you may get drowned. So stop. It's a bad practice. And I'm not talking about bad practice in general concept as a programmer. It's as a student that is learning something. It's a bad practice for a student. Again, it's my opinion. It's a bad practice for a student to head dive in a topic that he didn't been mentored beforehand because he can drown in the topic and lose the interest or I don't know, struggle. And sooner or later, the mentor will get there and teach him the topic. And that is the time that he will have an easier life as a programmer to move forward on that topic. So when I say bad practice, I was not talking about the general picture of programmers' life. No, I was thinking about the people who were following my videos from the very first one up until now. Those are the people who didn't know anything about Fabric, Java, Minecraft, or even in programming as a general topic. For those people, I was thinking that, hey, practicing of some advanced topic before knowing the knowledge can harm their interest. So it's bad. And I put the two words of practice and bad together and I used bad practice. And some people judged me that, hey, you are talking about bad practice concepts in programming and you're showing another bad practice programming. Wait a minute, I didn't mean that. What I was thinking was that for someone that who don't know something, it's better to stop right here with this amount of knowledge until I teach him a better way of doing things. Let's move forward. In the last video that I published, I talked about those who are feeding from modding community. I need to make things clear. Who are these people who feed from modding community or even Minecraft players in general? The first biggest category are those companies or I don't know, maybe individuals that develop game servers and give them as a service to players. The second group are those who are develop something based on interest and open a door for donation system. Maybe these are mod developers or YouTube content generators. I'm one of them. I myself developed a donation system based on cryptocurrency and the link is in the description in every video. So I personally understand these two groups. Those who develop a server are using hardwares on computers, electricity, and they have some costs. They have to cover them and they want to feed their family based on this business. It's a business. So, yeah, of course, I understand that. The second group, well, hell, I'm one of them. I'm making these videos because I like to make them and I opened a door for donation in my descriptions. So I understand those mod developers who develop their mod because they like to have that mod in their own personal game or hell, if they just like to do this and they open a door for donation. I was not talking about these two groups in general. So, who was the person that I was talking about in that video? As I said earlier in the video, I am a member of Minecraft modding community for over 15 years. I don't remember beyond that. It may be 18 or 19 years. I just was active reader for 15 years. During these 15 years, I had seen so many things in silence. And I'm not gonna call for names because I had seen more than few people actually. But I need to make things clear. Who was these people and what category of people I was talking about when I said that there are people who are not playing Minecraft and developing a mod and just trying to get a side revenue to help their life and they may not be active developers and active players. Hell, I didn't even criticize them. That's okay. You can be one of them and it's totally okay. But in general, there are people that are not part of gaming community. They are more lenient toward the programming community. First, there are some people that really don't play Minecraft. There are examples out there that you may know some of them. Some of them are active talking members of a community, a well-known community on their IRC channels for a long time. And one or two of them in particular were Minecraft developers directly working on their Mojang. And as a programmer who is doing this as a real life business for having an income for the family, normally they don't have much time to play the game. Another person that is well known for everyone, and I'm not going to name him, was really feeding from the base concept of a mod loader, and he went so far that he even made some parts of that mod loader copyrighted by his name. Why would someone do that if that person was not aiming to feed based on the use of his mod and donation system and stuff like that? As I said, that's okay. I'm not against it. But when I was talking about those people, I was aiming people like this. Another example are those people who are rarely play, but they have interesting history. There was a mod out there long time ago that would do bees, and there was an event, a big event actually, that continued for 24 hours of continuous streaming, and their aim for this 24-hour streaming was to collect as much donation as possible for one mod developer. Okay, I can understand. The mod developer had money problems and it was a bit of a rushing problem, so he had to collect money fast. But honestly, bending some rules to collect money for a mod developer outside of the normal process of developing your mod, putting it on YouTube and some Modrint or another site like it, and waiting for the donation, and dedicatedly asking for donation so that you reveal how to use part of your mod is not correct, at least in my opinion. The idea of that streaming was that the mod developer had added two special bees, and these special bees were first showcased in a very huge popular single player map, and people didn't know how to breed the system until they get these last two bees. So many famous people from the community gathered together, started an event, and that event was 24-hour streaming, telling people to donate, please, because this mod developer needs money. Okay, but if you want to know how to breed these two bees, we will reveal the truth only when the collected amount of the donation gets to this number. And we will reveal it at the end of the 24 hours, only if the donation hits the goal. I understand that some streamers put goals out there on the screen and they use different strategies to encourage people to donate some money to collect that goal. But honestly, just adding one feature into your mod for a dedicated map as a showcase and then encouraging people to donate so that you reveal that one feature of your mod, well, I don't know. That's a little bit confusing for me, and I don't like this idea. However, I'm still understanding it, because, well, that's a strategy of collecting donations. And as I said, I can understand the donation system. So when I was talking about the people who are feeding from community, I was not talking about those who have business as server service developers or those who develop the mods because of their interest and then ask for possible donations. Hell, I didn't even talk about the last group who had done a 24-hour event helping a mod developer, although I didn't like the strategy, but I can understand it. So I was dedicatedly talking about those who really are not playing the game or rarely playing the game and just, they are just part of the community of mod developers, either as a mod developer or as the mod loader developer or as the Minecraft developer working under Mojang. They don't have time to play the game or they don't like to play the game. Another one that I hope he understands me and I won't be afraid of calling the name, it's CPW. CPW was a very professional mod developer at the start. And I remember as a fact that I had seen him playing Minecraft using mods, and he was an active player until he became part of the core programmer of Forge. From that moment forward, CPW didn't have enough time to show up in other people's server gameplays, things that happened before, and became a part of the core developing team of Forge. We all know the drama behind Forge and NeoForge. I won't go there. But even up until now, I think that CPW never became the old playing member of this community again because he don't have enough time to sit back and enjoy the game himself. He's so deep into the programming process that he may not join and enjoy the gameplay, at least not on the servers and public locations. And that's a shame. Although I really respect him because he is a very professional programmer. Now let's move on to hopefully the last part of this talk. In the last video, I showed you a repository that had multi-mod loader approach. And I said that it's a very bad practice. Well, I talked about this bad practice usage. I was aiming for those who are new to programming. Actually, now I need to put another clarification for my clarification. Ooh, blah. Okay, we have two valid approaches for developing your programming environment. One is called multi-mod loader approach and one is called multi-branch approach. Before I dive into the pros and cons, you should understand what is the difference. In the multi-branch approach, you would make a GitHub repository and start with one mod loader. For example, in our case, it's Fabric. Then you may decide that when my mod is finished, or maybe in the middle of the process, or even at the start of the process, I decide that, you know what, I want to have this mod on Forge or NeoForge at the same time I'm developing it for Fabric. So in multi-branch approach, you would start a new branch in your repository for the new mod loader and another branch for the third mod loader and so on and so forth. Each time you would want to develop against a mod loader, you would switch the branches and finish that branch and then switch to another branch and continue. In multi-mod loader approach, you would develop a single project, putting the whole thing in it. As we saw in the previous episode, you would support Forge, Fabric, and NeoForge all inside a single project. Now that we understood each one of them, we can talk about pros and cons of each one of them. The multi-mod loader. Well, it's one project for all the mod loaders. That's one pro. We can have a code sync. Now, what does the code sync mean? As I showed in the previous episode, part of the process is to dissect some pieces of code, putting it under common sub-project. And when you change this common section, it will change for all three versions, being Forge, Fabric, and NeoForge. This is called code sync. So those pieces of code are synced between three different versions of mod loaders. Now it's easier for backward compatibility for the same reason. If you are handling backward compatibility for the newer versions, when your code is synced, you won't forget to change something in another mod loader branch. And I will talk about this more when we get to multi-branch approach. However, the problems, in my opinion, somewhat problematic things about multi-mod loader is that there is a lack of proper documentation on how to set up this. It is complex for new programmers unless you are really good at Gradle and you understand Gradle in advance and you know what you are writing in Gradle. A new programmer will have a very hard time developing a proper multi-mod loader approach. And also, in my opinion, it's vulnerable to different changes in the APIs. Now, it's arguable here because if something changes in Fabric, of course, it will be changed in both approaches. If something changes in NeoForge, it will be problem for both approaches. However, if something is changed in Gradle itself regarding the multi-mod loader approach, well, that is when we have a bigger problem because now we have a more complex build.gradle. And when I'm talking about problem, please understand I'm talking about new programmers or those who are not professional enough in Gradle itself. Now, for these people, following the changes, handling those changes can cause more damage and harm than good in multi-mod loader approach. So please, if you are a new programmer or if you are not that professional in Gradle itself, double think before you would try a multi-mod loader approach. One thing that I need to clarify here is that what if Fabric upgraded for a new version of Minecraft and at the same time Forge and NeoForge fall back? Well, in multi-mod loader approach, you can just comment pieces of the build process, resync the Gradle, and for time being, just build the fabric. Or maybe you want to change something dedicated to a mod loader, for example, a version of a mod loader, and you need to just put a new build for that mod loader. Well, you can just comment some lines in build.gradle, resync the Gradle, build the version you need, and then uncomment the whole thing, and then resync the Gradle again for future usage. That is multi-mod loader approach. Now let's talk about multi-branch approach. It's easier to set up for sure because you just make use of a template, an MDK, whatever you call it, in a new branch, and then each time you want to use that mod loader, you switch to a branch, the whole repository will change, and you are just face to face with the structure of a single mod loader. So it doesn't need any special knowledge of Gradle. Normally, the Fabric developers, Forge developers, and NeoForge developers handled the proper build.gradle file for you. It's easier to understand for newbies. Now, I don't like the word newbies, but well, I will use it because somewhat it's talking about the toddler programmers, but sometimes people get offended hearing newbie. Anyway, now the problems that can occur. Remember, this is not a dedicated problem. It can happen. There is a possibility for unsync code. It means that, for example, you want to add a feature into your mod, or you want to do something on backward compatibility, and you open your Fabric project, do the things there. Now you close the Fabric project. A few days later, you go back to Forge branch, and while you are doing the addition of the features and making the backward compatibility, sometimes you may forget to add something to one of these mod loaders. And that is called unsync code. Basically, your Fabric version has something that your Forge version does not have it, or vice versa. Arguably, you can have a checklist, a piece of paper, or a digital note, I don't know, text file, and you will write everything that needs to be done, and this is your to-do list. So a professional programmer wouldn't have this problem, but it's a possibility on this approach. The other problem is that you need to handle multiple projects. Basically, what I mean here is that each time you want to do something on a different mod loader, you have to close the whole project, go into your GitHub application, switch the branch, come back into the project. Maybe you need to resync the Gradle and everything from scratch until your project gets ready to follow up on that new mod loader. This can be a headache and a problem for someone. And at the same time, it means something else. Backward compatibility can become more complex, especially because of this unsync possibility and complexity to move from one project to another. Long story short, if you are a new programmer or you are not a professional in Gradle and you don't know how to really develop a multi-mod loader, don't practice it. Start with a multi-branch approach. But if you're a professional and you know what you are doing and you are ready to handle something that complex, well, by all means, it's a valid approach. One last thing, using commands in the code. In general, it's not a good practice. That's the whole point of the previous video. Unfortunately, I did talk a little bit in the shadows. It didn't become obvious. In general, running commands from your code is not a good practice. Really, you can read the vanilla and recode the process instead of calling the command. For example, I want to use the time set command. Go into the vanilla, find the code, and read it. However, why did I suggest it? Well, first of all, I didn't suggest it. Who said that I suggested? Yes, I said that there is a possible scenario, one of the very few possible scenarios that you may justify your use of command when you are setting the time and when you are setting the weather. Because in my opinion, for the amount of knowledge that you have, that would be only valid solution. Remember, I didn't even dive into vanilla video yet. It's recorded, it's edited, it's ready to be published. In that video, I will teach you how to read vanilla and how to understand vanilla. But before I give you this knowledge, for those who are new, before I give you the knowledge, how can I ask you to do that? It's impossible. So I didn't suggest to use commands as a good practice. No, 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 no. The only thing that I said, well, in the video, I was saying that I don't think that there is a situation that you can use commands. There may be something. When I was editing it and I was thinking about the followers of my channel, those who are early in the programming stage, I thought that, okay, these two examples are the only cases for a toddler that may justify the usage of command. And I put a note on the monitor. Unfortunately, that note caused some people to yell at me. Remember, I am not suggesting to call a command within a code. The practical approach is to go back and read vanilla, but so far in the video series, I didn't publish that video yet. And also, I was thinking about pitfalls for these newbies in the programming journey. Because let's face it, as I said, each day in the mixing channel, you would see a struggle between professionals and those who are new to the mixing itself. And the problem is that the newbie thinks that his code is doing everything, and the professional can see some problematic possibilities. Those pitfalls are something that is inevitable if you don't consult someone that is good in a field. And honestly, when I talk in the videos, I was thinking about these newbies and the pitfalls, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I didn't give them the view about diving into the vanilla. Someone may try it and may read the vanilla, but before he knows what he's doing, there is a chance that he would ruin everything. And let's face it, lots of those new programmers love to rush things and get something done. They are dying to publish their first mod on Modrinth. So they may do something harmful instead of, just somewhat not a good practice of calling a command. That was my thought process. Unfortunately, I got yelled at because of that. And funny enough, I have a long time roadmap in my mind, and I showed that roadmap as a published video in the channel. And for God's sake, if you want to judge me, please sit back and watch that roadmap. If you see that I will talk about reading vanilla maybe 2 or 3 videos later, why do you think I should suggest it right now to my users and to my subscribers? That's not logical. So I had to show them something before I show them the better way. That's my approach to programming. And don't forget, my English is not good. I'm not fluent in English. I'm really struggling in talking in English. I can write very fast, but at the same time, my writing will have tons of grammar problems, tons of unfluent English talking. And each time I'm trying to pronounce something and talk in English, my mind is really struggling because at the same time, I have to pronounce this sentence and I have to think about the next sentence, make it properly available in my mind so that when I get there to talk it, it's ready. And during this struggle, sometimes I forget about something that I wanted to talk. Or sometimes I misuse words like bad and practice. I put them together as bad practice, and I'm thinking that, okay, I'm talking to newbies, and someone professional tells me, hey, it's not a bad practice in programming. And I was thinking, like, oh, that wasn't what I was thinking about. I'm not aiming a professional here, and that was not how I meant a practice being bad. That is regarded to my bad English. I apologize for that. And here's something. Someone sent this image in that fabric discussion about my last video. Mods, seal this man in the prison realm. Now, if you want to hate me so far to put me in prison, being it in game or real life, that's okay. You can hate me as much as you want. The easiest approach is to ignore me. Ignore my videos, unsubscribe from my channel, and ignore me in the forums. That's the easiest way for you who hate me. I hope this video clarified many things about me from the past or maybe in the future. So please, if you found something that was wrong in the video, please inform me, and sure, I will talk about it in the next videos. Just don't forget, when I publish some video, there are at least 4 to 6 videos sitting in a row waiting to be published. Right now, I had to postpone this process for the last video and this video. So when I'm talking about something and you find a problem there, I have to sit back and record a video for that topic, and maybe I can't postpone the process anymore, and this talk will happen and be published later in the series. Please don't judge me until that video comes out. Yes, I'm all ears to listen to your words, and I really like creative commenting, even if it's harsh, because that's helping me producing better content. Hate talking, I will ignore them. And if you talk about something and it was real problem in the video and I accept it, please remember I may not publish a video right away about it. I will talk about it eventually in the process, and I will thank you for the help and the comment. Now I should thank Luis DS, SYH, and especially Shiro in these forum chats that were commenting really harshly on the last video publication. I really appreciate your feedback and comment about the problems on the videos, and especially Luis did give me some hints about what word I should use. SYH gave some words that you can use these words. I really appreciate it because it will help me in long run. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.